welcome to Upstage Downstage, with him, Richard Platt, seated in the upper circle.
And him, Stephen Rees, typically seated in the cheap seat.
This is the Theatre Podcast, where we discuss productions we've seen,
Things we've liked,
and may not have liked,
giving our complete unprofessional
and non-biased opinions.
So grab a brew,
Take a seat,
and let's raise that curtain. On today's episode, we'll be discussing Sucker Punch. We saw this production at Queens Theatre Hornchurch on the 15th of April 2023. This tender, bruising and funny play by leading British dramatist Roy Williams brilliantly explores being young and black in the 80s. So Stephen, what's it all about?
Two best mates, Leon and Troy, have spent their youth growing up in a boxing gym, figuring out a place in the world, vying for the approval of Charlie, their trainer. Soon, Leon and Becky, Charlie's daughter, are trying to keep a big secret in a ruthless world. But there can only be one winner, and it's time everyone stepped into the ring to face up to who they really are.
But first, our post-show opinion!
A punch in the right direction.
It's an uppercut above the rest.
So with all that said, let's
Set the scene!
So, let's talk about Sucker Punch. Only this time, we don't need to have a drink in our hands, we actually have ice cream. Oh, it's like being in the interval already, isn't it?
Yeah, we've taken our seats. I don't know where we've taken them, but...
Turmeric latte ice cream. Lovely.
ASMR.
Oh, the sound effects.
People would pay for that.
Now, shall I set the scene?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, Stephen.
Oh, here we go. You got a top?
I'm not getting it on my top. It's too busy for ice cream. It's like a magic eye.
I spy with my little eye.
So, Stephen, when you walked into the auditorium, what did you see?
I saw a stage. Okay, so we had a boxing ring in the centre of the stage. To stage right, there were two boxing bags. That's what you call them, isn't there?
Punch bags.
Punch bags. That's what I meant. Boxing bags. You punch them, don't you?
Yeah.
It's what you call boxing. You
Yeah,
box them with
they're
a
a bag.
Right, shut up and eat your ice cream. Oh, God.
Steady.
The peanut went straight to the back of my throat. At the back of the stage, behind the boxing ring, or the punching ring, was the manager's office. So you had a little flight of stairs which had like metal railings, galvanised metal, and there was like sheet metal. It gave an appearance of
Warehouse sports gyms, container units.
That's it.
It's
Container
like corrugated
units. It's very much
steel.
like that.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Shut up and eat your ice cream. Right, for stage left, it was sliding doors, which looked very much
That's
like
a
it was
film,
towards a warehouse. Shut up and eat your ice cream. And above the wall was a load of pictures of previous boxing champions that have been in fights and probably came from this boxing space, place, gym, whatever this is. I don't know.
It's
Shut up
like-
and eat your ice cream. And
I want it on a
behind
t-shirt.
there was also a locker which got used. And at the very start, whilst everyone was taking to their seats and probably buying ice cream, there was Tom boxing with Charlie, his trainer, at the boxing bags, the punch bags. Now, at the top of the stage, in terms of the lighting, Richard will probably tell you what these are, but it's spelt out Sucker Punch.
Yeah, it was
Richard,
almost
what are
like a digital display, like you'd see on a calculator. Almost, they're just
calculator?
well, it's showing letters made up out of a circular LED display boards, basically.
Bulbs.
Yeah, and it just spells Sucker Punch. Well, there's one panel for each letter.
And that's that then, is it?
Yeah, but they were used throughout the production to almost show like lights above a wrestling ring. You know, the sort of thing you'd see in the big wrestling matches where you'd see a lot of boxing ring.
Well, I can't correct you because I don't know.
I said wrestling ring.
Wrestling
We're
ring.
boxing.
Yeah, boxing, wrestling, punching.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not a bloody wedding ring, is it?
No.
Oh, sure.
But it was almost it almost led to it being looking like there were floodlights like you'd see above a.
You're not
a
still
boxing
talking
ring.
about them lights again, are you? I thought
Oh.
we'd established this. The calculator things.
I'm just going to shut up and eat my ice cream.
Yes. Now back to me. Right. So, what do we normally talk about? The writing, well, let's start with the direction.
Have you talked about the pictures on the set as well?
Yeah. Were you listening?
Yeah, I was.
Probably because you were eating your ice cream. No. So this was produced by Queens Theatre Hornchurch, and it is slightly a new play in terms of it being contemporary, but it's not the first time it's been put on, because the first time was staged in 2010
Yeah,
at the Royal Courts, Jerwood Theatre.
in Sloane Square.
Downstairs. That's correct. Now, it was written by Roy Williams, which is a playwright.
Yeah.
Well, we probably said all this in the introduction, but anyway. As it started up, we were introduced to Leon and Troy. Leon was just there. I don't know whether they were just hanging about, like part-time jobs cleaning, or they were part of the club, but not necessarily being spurred on at the beginning, like Tom was.
They weren't high up the hierarchy.
No.
They were lower down in the ranks.
Hierarchy?
They weren't high up in the hierarchy. They were lower down in the ranks.
In the lower hierarchy.
Yeah, they were.
I suppose that's why they were cleaning bogs.
Yeah.
Don't say that with a mouthful of ice cream.
You take a left at hierarchy.
Hierarchy. Go on then, do I have to do all the talking? Clearly, yes. So anyway, we understood that Leon and Troy were friends. Troy was the one that didn't want to clean the toilets, and then you were trying to get Leon to do it, but Leon wouldn't do it. He was standing up for himself. And then bit by bit, he later, throughout the play, he started getting noticed by Charlie.
Yeah.
The, I won't say stage manager, what do I mean? Coach, that's it. He got noticed by the coach and also by Becky, his daughter, and they started having a bit of a flirt on and getting together throughout the play.
I think what was also happening was
You're speaking now, are you?
Yeah, I thought I'd make an effort.
I'll shut up and eat my ice cream.
Too. I think the other power struggle was the dynamic between Tommy, who was the best in the actual boxing group, as it were, and it was the test of that as to he was the best and these two guys were never going to be at that level. It was almost like he was the one that got everything, and we saw the change really.
In some aspects, this is a play on many levels.
Yeah.
It doesn't just touch upon the aspect of race and privileges and that kind, but also of aspirations of being a young guy, and also adulthood and your first love in a way, and what does it mean to fail and go up against everything that's always going against you, and then when you do make it, it's about either keeping that or seeing if you are pushed too far, and what is really at the stake of what are you willing to lose to become the best.
Yeah.
I'm glad that made sense.
Also making sort of letting the inner demon out, or the two sides to that is to seek fame doesn't always mean that you have friendships and relationships with the people. You become quite cutthroat or money driven, or you become more less interested in the people around you, and you push them away a lot. And I think we saw that change really when he got more successful and more above everybody else, as it were.
And also it was like fighting for somebody else's benefit.
Yes.
You stop being about his fight, but more about Charlie's stake in the world and the fact that he can only do so much, but he's using Leon's power, position of power, to advance him, even though everyone in that field, whatever you want to call it, doesn't necessarily look at him with great aplomb. With plums. Have you swallowed your nut?
No, it just hurts my teeth. What was that?
Take them out.
I think because also we're seeing that Charlie is actually fighting to save the actual training centre as well. So not only have you got the encouragement for somebody to become a successful fighter, deep down he's hoping that it's going to save his sort of what he's built up, as well as the new up and coming boxer. So you're seeing it from both sides really.
And for the character of Charlie, he portrayed that racist character that wasn't overtly racist in any shape or form, but was misguided or misjudged his wording or how he thought or how he spoke. He probably didn't realise it was in any way coming across as racist. But there were certain elements where he did actually say certain words which...
It was a class system, wasn't it? It was almost like he'd never going to be...
Well, it wasn't just that. I think it was just also... I don't think it was that, actually. Because actually he never... I can't remember now if Charlie said some harsh words to the boys.
I think Tommy portrayed more of those characteristics of I'm better than you because of the colour of my skin than because he was portraying that same age group living in the 80s was almost trying to say that you'll never be as good as me.
But Charlie also didn't want Becky going out with Troy.
No, exactly.
Leon.
So there was, but it was like there was certain times where words weren't even needed to be said, but you knew where they were aiming the conversation really.
In addition, it was a new manager in Act 2 that came from America, and I think he was the one that was actually had a little bit of racism himself. And on that note, in Act 2, we were getting to know the characters, and we'd already known the characters, but we were seeing them work through their differences and their plight. I don't know about you, but it felt like a bit of an undertone of like homosexuality, or there was something between the new manager and Troy where he kept calling him like babe, or there was like a level
It was like
love.
a control thing almost
There was,
as
wasn't
well.
there? Like he was a manager controlling him in ways that probably Troy wouldn't have wanted to be controlled, like sexualization.
It was almost the assumption that you're mine now, almost, even if it's just purely by performance or because he was the best fighter they got. It felt a little bit like
there was definitely undertones there.
Yeah, there was
slightly how First Touch played on that as well.
Yeah, it was clever to write Becky in the way that it added a bit of lightness to the performance sometimes, but also showed that in a way she was the one that cared about the finances of the club more, or the decisions her father made and things like that. And it gave that little bit of sort of pull and struggle to love who you want to love, and they
she grounded the play.
She did ground. She was
characters.
Yeah, she did, because she was the one saying the things that other people wouldn't, and I think that was really cleverly written in.
But not in a bad way.
No, not at all. It filled those gaps in where she'd said it before you thought, oh, something's missing. You know, she'd actually filled in that area and
in a way, the glue that held all the guys together.
Yeah, I agree. And it was almost a coming of age of her, because you saw her grow up through this as well. She went from the sort of schoolgirl all the way through to the adult that
sorting out the finances of the club and making sure that Charlie wasn't wasting it or gambling it, or messing their livelihood up, I suppose.
Almost the unseen dealing with things that he then wouldn't really realise he'd actually solved certain issues because she'd already done it. And
what do we feel about the directing of this piece?
I thought it was directed well. They used the space very well, in the sense of it was all in one space and it didn't move. There was no, I like the use of the office at the back, where even when characters didn't have any dialogue, you could still see them through the window, because there was a window in the office.
Yes, that's
and
right.
You could see that they looked like they were still having conversations
or getting things out of the cabinet.
Yeah, and dealing with things, and it felt big. It made the space feel bigger than it actually was, and I think that was a clever use of a minimal set, really, because they talked about
3D.
Yeah, and sort of things like talking about going to clean the toilets, or going here or go there. The way it was written, you felt like you were being described as other areas that you were going to.
And also I think it was Act 2 where they started going to the championships to watch Leon fight. The corrugated bit moved away.
Yeah.
Or was it raised? No,
raised.
It
lifted.
It was lifted up, and then we just saw the inside of that office, which then turned into a viewing platform where everyone, just like Tommy, Charlie, Becky, I think Troy as well, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Stood up there watching as we saw this performance come to light, really. Oh, and the new manager.
But it was just enough.
Oh, and the father. I forgot all about the father.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Squid.
Yes, because he added additional pressure into the character of the...
because equally he was the father from the other side that had got equally as much debt problems as
and he was leeching.
as his coach, you know.
Yes, I mean, this is the third production we've seen now at Queens Theatre Hornchurch. We started off with Rebus, and then we went to The Flood, and now this one, the production seems to be getting better and better.
Yeah.
Now, whether that's because this isn't technically a new play, it's had time to breathe, it's had time to be worked on. I felt that this Sucker Punch was brilliantly scripted.
Yeah.
And extremely well performed.
Yeah.
And the set just worked so well, and it was a nice piece of theatre. And it was really well directed as well.
Yeah, it was a strong piece.
Yeah, because also the fight scenes, they had skipping ropes, didn't they? So he was skipping,
Yeah.
and he that they used that. It must have been that, or there was rope there.
There's bunting.
Bunting, yeah, that was it. Bunting across from each side of the
Each
wrestling
corner
ring.
of the ring, yeah.
Yeah, the ring.
Boxing ring.
Although we say it's a ring, even though
It's
it's
a
a square.
Yeah.
But the way the director managed to get the actor to replay being fought, it was very much how they did it in First Touch about kicking the ball up to the
Yeah.
side or whatever. He stood there and he was saying, "Oh, punch to the right or to the side or the sucker punch or whatever the terminology was." He was moving around that square within the bunting, going from place to place, and it was choreographed.
You saw him
extremely
progress.
well.
Yeah, it was really well. And it felt like he was a boxer, and it felt like he had the stance and the performance of a boxer as well. As did all the ones that were boxing, you know. There's been a lot of work put in to do that.
You know, sometimes there are scenes where things just go on far too long, or
Yeah.
certain lines get delivered. When I mean delivered, I don't mean like they were delivered wrong. More, they were delivered in an unusual style or a pacing to it, like the movement within the dialogue. I suppose I'm trying to get at ridiculously badly at. There was none of that. Everything
wasn't.
seemed precise and detailed, because we started very much with a round of punching the bags with a series
Yeah.
of lines of how you would. Well, I suppose if you trained, you know what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, of
I
course.
wouldn't have a clue.
But I think you could tell there'd been a lot of work done on relationships with each other. Like as a performance, there was a pace to it where the whole, there was a lot of. There was not
You're
really
jiggling in your chair. What's
know.
that? This is audio.
I don't
you
know.
We're
I
not
know.
recorded.
I know.
You can't bounce from one side of the chair
Well, our
to the
listening
other.
viewers need to know what's happening. You
They
know,
do need to know. So where were you going with that punch?
I don't know. I think it was the pace was there, but the reactions were there, and the toing and froing of all the cast. Everybody was on it at all times. I don't think there was any times where they
nobody
dropped
dropped the ball,
lines
did
or
they?
no, they
No.
all kept catching the ball when it needed to be caught, and I think that shows a lot of. Well, it shows that the cast were committed to work together. Really,
It was a strong, bold, confident piece.
it was. Yeah,
I felt,
it was a punch in the face.
you'll get a punch in the face in a minute.
Moving on to our next segment, as we say, we're
Here
for the drama. I think Leon and Troy worked really well together, as in Christian and Shem must have worked a lot together on their relationship from the start, because the minute the lights came up and their first scene came on, you just felt like there were two mates, and they were very
They
much.
felt like brothers.
Yeah.
They were extremely confident and friendly.
And that
with each
isn't
other.
easy to do, to pull off that relationship from the get-go. It just felt natural. It felt like they were brothers from the same family or the same friendship group, or they've grown up with each other all the time. And I think sometimes it's easy to overdo that or make it bigger than it is, and I think they did it really, really well.
And their particular characters were portrayed really well as well,
Yeah.
because they were slightly chalk and cheese in a way. One was more outgoing and joking
Yeah.
and fun and lively and entertaining, and the other one was a little bit quieter. But you didn't realise who the story was going to be about, who you're going to follow at the very beginning. You thought it might be the louder one, Troy, but it turned out that you were following the quieter one, who was a bit more strong and determined.
But then when their characters flipped so much in the second half, where they became very poles apart, and
but also equal,
very
both fighting,
very equal, but you could feel the distance between them as friends.
Absolutely, yeah.
Even though they knew each
it's
other
like
well,
they weren't friends anymore.
you could feel that there was something between them, but it was like an ironclad wall between them. You could feel that. So they'd worked really well on the transition from being solid friends to still knowing each other, but not wanting to drop anyone's guard, to actually to be that who they were at the start.
I suppose that's what called acting, isn't it?
It is, but when you see it done well, it becomes a subtle performance that actually is very strong. Really, I thought all the cast did really well. To be fair,
They did.
I don't think there
wasn't a bad
a
apple
No,
amongst any of them at all. Like Becky, she came in, she was full of energy, and
he knew who she was straight away.
She got the right personality and,
Yeah.
and temperament for that not school child, but she sort of was.
Yeah.
Pre-teens, adolescent.
But she held back
coming
at
of
the
age.
right point, and you could tell that there was probably more to her than just that schoolgirl, and you knew that there was
Yeah.
bigger, you know.
She knew there was more. She knew when to develop the character and how to hold back. And
As did they, as they all did. I mean,
Squid was very entertaining every time
Yeah.
he took to the stage. Because there was a scene where he tried to get into the ring as well, and he couldn't manage it how everyone else managed it. So he just hopped over it, didn't he, or whatever.
He really did, yeah.
So that was quite funny. It was just nice to see a cast of talented actors just having a good time with this.
Yeah, it was. It's nice to see them all working together as a team and pulling off a performance that they all obviously enjoyed doing, but actually they all supported each other and didn't let anybody drop. And I think, because I don't really think there was any missteps or any line drops. I can't really remember anything because they were all very much in their characters. It's hard to pull out one individual for their solid performance on their own because they all performed as an ensemble.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to our next segment, as we say,
What the Tech Is This?
So, Richard, this is sort of your domain again because it's the technical stuff. I don't even know if that's a punch bag, boxing bag, or what.
I know.
I mean, it's not a carrier bag. I know that for sure, and it's certainly not a body bag.
I think lighting and sound, it was generally a general cover.
Generally?
General cover of performance.
Performance? I'm talking about the lighting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, sound-wise, everything was just used to reinforce things, and they...
Generally?
Generally. They used quite a few recordings and audio to show the fight scenes and things like that with announcements and things that would show that they've gone to a competition rather than they were in the actual clubhouse and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that use and nothing was really out of place. Nothing was overused. I did like we talked about the spelling Sucker Punch above. I think the use of the Sucker Punch sign above was cleverly used for the floodlights for the games that were happening, for the competitions, and it felt very different. But it also felt like your lights that were above in a well-lit, big warehouse-style club that was a boxing club that is across the country. It's that sort of feel. But then they'd use it for colour use, so when it was night time, it'd all go dim and dark, but then there'd be hints of blue everywhere and things like that.
Did it have red lights in it? Because was there a moment of red where
they used red for like some of the anger scenes and stuff like that, and
the choreography bit where he's training and being fighting. Yeah,
they used a lot of solid colour look to the solid colour on stage to just for the scenes that were very much out of they're almost transition scenes to see that Leon was growing up and moving, progressing through his life and his boxing career almost.
Yeah.
But it was done strong and confidently that it felt like it was meant to be there at that point. And it moved the scene along as it should.
Can you remember anything else about the music score or anything like that? Because, I mean...
It was intrinsically 80s, I think. That was the thing. They used a lot of things where it felt...
I can't remember now.
There wasn't many songs used, but there was enough
They had a cassette player, didn't they?
Yeah, there was enough just used to play things in the background.
Was it playing a proper cassette tape?
Well, that's it.
You don't want to risk it getting chewed up.
No, you don't. No, you have to get your pencil out.
Oh, well, missus. Got my HB on the go.
I prefer 2B.
To be or not to be.
That is the pencil I'm drawing with.
Wow. It's certainly not the big. I was going to say something else then, but no. Better not.
And now, it's time for our Rewind Rewatch.
So, we're hurtling towards the end now. So, let's go for our Rewind Rewatch. Have you finished that ice cream yet? Still giving you jip? Take your teeth out. Right, Rewind Rewatch. Which part of Sucker Punch would you like to just go back and watch again?
I want to see the whole dance scene, transition scenes. They were brilliant. The bit where they moved, they did a lot of the competitions and stuff like that. I really like that bit.
Oh, right, okay. I'm glad you explained, because I thought, well, it's not a musical. Which bit were you watching?
Yeah. The bit with the bunting.
Oh, that bunting gets everywhere. I'm not quite sure myself. Probably in the second act, I think it was, where we had a bit of drama, well, there's a lot of drama between Leon and Troy.
Yeah.
And it was testing their friendship. And
Yeah,
the
good
bit
bit.
where Troy was coming around or having to be persuaded by Leon to come round to be his friend again.
Yeah, I know
I
what you mean.
think I'd like to just see that, simply because, as you can guess, I've forgotten what it was about. So just go back and see, oh yeah, that's what it was. That was what was going on.
Moving on to our final segment, as we say,
Call this a show?
Have you finished that ice cream yet?
no.
Get your teeth out. So, what would you like to say? To sum up, sucker punch. Otherwise, I'll give you a sucker punch myself. A bunch of fives.
It's a well acted, well directed piece, and it could have been a production that wasn't interesting or exciting because of the subject matter, whereas I thought that it was pulled off in a way that actually was enjoyable and did leave you thinking, but also I think it showed issues and racial issues in those in the 80s and things that people had a struggle with, but it also was entertaining, and with the comedy elements and the things that they put in it as well, I thought that it was really cleverly done. So yeah, that pretty much sums it up for me.
We got there in the end.
Yeah, I did.
This production, as I say, was the third one we've seen so far, and it's much improved from the previous two. That it's they keep getting better and better. This one was really well done. I think it's just one of those plays that has something about it. It's definitely needed. However, I can't see it in a bigger theatre pulling in the crowds, because it's just it seemed to be more of an intimate, short run sort of a play, and it was excellent for what it was.
It's something that would be lost in a huge theatre, I think, because you'd need to be closer to the action to actually take it.
Yeah. Scores then, please, Richard, for Sucker Punch on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being a palpable hit and 1 being below the belt. What's it going to be?
I'll give this an 8 out of 10 because I think it was well done and well performed.
I'm going to give Sucker Punch a 7.
It's much improved.
We're getting there a little bit.
That's what I mean.
Little baby steps. Yes.
Yeah. So there we are.
Have you finished that ice
No.
cream? Take your teeth out. So, what sound effect will you be choosing from the following? A complete train wreck, tumbleweed, an audible shrug of the shoulders, a slow clap, a pleasant applause, or a standing ovation. What will it be?
I'll give this a pleasant applause.
And you know what? I'm going to give the same, because there's nowhere else, there's nothing else really to give it other than just a well done.
Well done.
Thank you.
And I've not finished my ice cream yet. So there we are. That's our discussion of Sucker Punch. We hope you found it insightful.
If not, entertaining.
Stay tuned as we bring you more of our thoughts
And opinions.
on many theatrical delights in future episodes. If you'd like to get in touch, email us at upstagedownsstagepod@gmail.com. You can always join in the chat to share with us your views of a production.
Also, make sure to follow, share, like and subscribe to all our channels so you get every episode the second it's released. And we hope you join us again for another instalment of
Upstage Downstage.
Two best friends, Leon and Troy, have spent their youth growing up in a boxing gym, figuring out a place in the world, vying for the approval of... This is sabotage. This really is sabotage.
I thought you said finger it out.
What? Fingering a place in the
Finger it
world.
out.
Fingering out.
A place in the world.
They don't call me little stubby.
What are you
Nothing.
doing? I'm fingering out.
Can I finish it?
Do it.
Just check on that. What is it?
The caramelised almonds, not...
That's it, yeah. Not just nuts. You don't want nuts at your back of your throat. Well, pay extra for that. That's it.
I don't think you can get that in Lidl.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe not on the tills.
Well, what I'm talking about.
No, clearly.
What I'm talking about. I know what I want to say, but I can't say. I don't know what I'm saying. But that was used up almost as the floodlights for the...
Do you want to say that again without having the heart attack?
It's this.
You do that whether we have ice cream or not.
Oh, yeah, I know. I think it was a well-directed, well-acted piece of... well-acted... Well, knock me down with the featherweight. Box.
Yes, do you like the ice cream?
Yeah, it's good.
It's quite nice, isn't it?
I do want it on a t-shirt, though.
You wanted what?
I want shut up and eat your ice cream on a
Something ice
t-shirt.
cream on a t-shirt.
Yes, please.
Copyrighted.
Yep. Upstage, downstage merch.
I'm not quite sure what to say now.
You can suck my punch.
Stop that.